Hi, how you going, design thinkers? My name is Matthew Sear, and today we are going to be doing an advanced deep dive into Figma's tokens about colors. So we're going to set up our own color tokens, and then we're going to be able to use those color tokens for our dark and light mode, but we're going to take it one step further. We're going to have our primary, secondary, and tertiary sets, as well as our utility sets for our colors, as well as starting to incorporate the different states that the colors can actually operate in, like hover, our base state, and as well focus and press states. So we're going to cover a lot in this episode. So if you're interested in the deep dive into color theory as well as the color token setup, then you're in the right place. Sit back, relax, and let's jump in the video. All right, here we are inside of Figma. So where we are right now is inside of just a FigJam file I put together just to illustrate out what we're going to cover very quickly, and then I'll show you what it looks like. First of all, we have our color token. This will be a color token library. That token library will be having the colors for our light mode and colors for our dark mode. We're then going to also have basically our pattern set of colors. And these pattern colors are going to basically, we're going to cover a fill color, we're going to have an outline color, we're going to have a primary detail, secondary detail, and a tertiary detail color inside of the way that we're going to run our color palette. We're going to have our main state of colors, our hover state of colors, our selected state of colors, and our focus state of colors. And we're going to actually have this for every type of actual color style. We got the primary style that we're going to work with, secondary, tertiary, an alternative style. We're going to have our utility colors, for example, success states, error states, caution states, and disabled states. And each one of these has within inside of it basically the main state that it is in, which could be the enabled state, the selected, hover, and focus states. And ultimately in the end, we will basically have our whole collection, and the goal is once we put all of our colors together, all together into one, we'll have just 5 colors that we're going to be able to use on any and every single design asset, and they're going to give every single design asset the ability to access all of those color sets, from primary, secondary, tertiary color sets to the color sets for our success states, error states, caution states, and so on. And then in addition, we're going to get enabled, disabled, hover, selected, focus. All of those are going to be actually populated through these 5 colors. They're the ultimate 5 colors, and we can put those 5 colors on any of our designs, and they will give every single one of those designs, every single one of those states. So that's really powerful. And basically in the end, the way that we're going to have and be able to map those out is where we can have a little demo asset, and we're going to have a look at this, and we're going to start going through our tokens and creating our tokens and so on. All right. So if this is all pretty much all in line with what you're looking for, let's jump into what I put together inside the local variables. So inside of our local variables, we're going to try to achieve at least this, hopefully in a quick point of time, where we have our color tokens, the actual different style sets. Each of those style sets will have a fill, line, primary, secondary, tertiary detail, with a main state, a hover state, a focus state, and a selected state. And then we will be putting them into our main color group or our utility color group, which I segmented out here. So this is the main color group, which will have basically the core colors that you want to use throughout your entire design. Of course, we have sometimes a few different color sets, and they have different states that they have for different hover animations, different select animations, so on. So to manage all of that, we will use these color styles and then put them into groups. So this would be these are our two groups, which go into our style, and our style is basically the ultimate color palette that we're going to use. Now at the moment I only just have these white fills inside of these, and I created all of this to speed up the video, because otherwise this video would take several hours, unfortunately. So what you will need to do is actually make these. They're not that complicated, it's just a lot of time. So we'll need to first off create our color palette, but we'll jump in that in a second. But what we need is basically this exact pattern here. We need fill, outline, primary, secondary, tertiary, main, hover, focus, selected, all colors. And if you can create one for style, one for main, one for utility, one for the alternative colors, one for the caution, disabled, error, primary, secondary, success, and tertiary, then you're basically ready to go. This is just a formality. This is just basically where we're going to thread all of our colors through. We need each of these so that we can layer them correctly. What I additionally added is I put these little actual emoji colors in front of these, and I'm finding that they're quite helpful to help set this up and also help with threading your different colors through. So for the styling, I put the square. For the groups, I put the small diamond. And for the primary style that I'll apply to every single asset, that will be my big diamond. And then we have our circle for our blue circle for our tokens. And this is where inside of here, I have created basically every one of the colors. So we have a base color set, which will be represented also by a little circle. And I use circles for every one of these. Plus I'm using my basically from 000 all the way up to my 900. And I'm using these numbers. These are important to basically manage the way that these are used. And all that this is simply add in the colors. So you'll need to first define, create, or explore the colors that you want in your basically token set. I have the primary black and white, and I flip the black and white. I don't use 100% black because nothing looks really that great with 100% black. I have a blend state, so you'll have a black based blend or a white based blend, and then I use an alpha through these. So it's pretty easy. You just pick your color and you can set alpha or pick whatever you want there. So this is my blend states. These are important if you want to have something that kind of either is completely invisible, we don't want a color there, but we still want to add in a state, or if you want to just have some sort of white blend over or dark blend over, that they're quite useful in that case. Create these, you won't regret it. They'll really, they'll go the mile for you. Now, I created my gray state, which sometimes is called your natural state or neutral state. I used it as just gray state. What these are for is for basically all of your grays that you'll use throughout your design. Now you can go with a gray, which is a gray red base, or a gray blue base. A lot of designs utilize a gray blue base, but for my particular design system and my design kind of palette, I went with the red base gray. Then I just have basically just a nice kind of blue. I like this blue. This is my branding blue. So I use this blue. These are just colors that you pick. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that they stagger either both throughout saturation as well as the actual dark to light, the grayscale. So you get deeper, darker colors as you go down, and you potentially get as well a richer color. But it's ultimately up to you, as long as it's a scale that either goes up or goes down. And my recommendation is to look into using potentially the Google Color creation for tokens if you need help, or look into basically a few other design systems that use different color sets in different color languages. Apple's design system, or you've got ones like Atlassian's design system. There's a few out there that basically use a tiering system for their colors, so that's really handy. All you need to do is you're going to create a few of your colors. These are just colors. Now I will be using my yellow for caution. I will be using my red for an error state. And I will be using my green for also success states. Bear in mind, you will need ideally a green color palette set, a red color palette set, and potentially a yellow or orange color palette set, up to you how you want to do it. And really by the point, you just create as many of these as you like. We might not use all of them, we might use all of them. Once you've created your color set, we are now ready to move over into creating and building out and attaching and linking in our actual states. But we need to start somewhere. We need to even understand what we're even going to put in here. My suggestion is do some designing. You'll actually fill this up a lot quicker and understand it a lot better when you've created some assets and played with it. As long as you have your color tokens, you're ready to go. And this is how it works. So I'll close this down. Now I have two examples. I got basically a set. This would be, for example, the way that I would use, and I just created a random asset. This will be the way that I use my actual primary color pattern. So in my primary color pattern, most of my design assets will have, for example, potentially, it doesn't always need to, but potentially will have a border. So if they do have a border, the border will be applied a particular token. They will also have a combination of icons and text and secondary text, maybe even tertiary text. They'll have at least 3 layers of detailing. Now, what you assign your asset is completely up to you, but with this design system, with the way that I'm building this particular color palette, I have a fill, I have an outline, and then I have 3 detailing colors that I can pick, and they will usually increment downwards or upwards depending upon the way that I want to style the asset. How does that work? The good thing is I got those tokens and I just made all those tokens. So if you made all the tokens, this will help a lot. We can click on our asset and we can actually just start assigning it. And down the side here, you can see that I have purple, my purple 0, my purple 8, my purple 7, my purple 4, and my purple 1. That is basically the collection of colors that makes up the primary button or the primary state of this: free, hovering, selecting, so on. This will be called my actual pattern. This is my pattern, and this is how my pattern works. And then I would recommend, if you wanted to help yourself out a little bit, you can always write the pattern out. For example, over here, we have primary color pattern. We have our fill, which I'm using a 700. My outline, the 800. The actual primary detail is the 0. The secondary will be the 1, tertiary 4. What this tells me is that it doesn't really matter what colors technically. What it tells me is what those are. What you add in makes a difference. And now that I know that this is the mapping of tokens, because I've just applied my tokens to my assets, I already know what they are. That's fantastic. So I know what they are for hover, select, and focus because I've already put them on a test asset, and I've applied them for your main, your focus, your hover, your focus, and your selected. And this is, for example, another state. This state here would be, for example, my token sets for basically creating my secondary style. So my secondary style has these particular layers. And this, and this. And because I've created this kind of test asset and I've created multiple, and my recommendation is, honestly, you'll probably go through and create every single one that you want to make. So I would, in the end, ultimately have a test state for the primary, secondary, tertiary, alternative style, and so on. I'd have one for each, with each of these kind of mapped out. And once I have those mapped out, I'm pretty much ready to go. And it's actually quite easy from this point onwards. What I'm going to do is I'll drag this off onto my other screen so I can actually look at it. And I will show you mapping out the first two sets. Let's go to our local variables. My first set's my primary. So my primary set, I had a fill, and this would be my purple one. So I'm going to go and I'm right click on here and I can create an alignment. I can go to the actual color token sets here that I've got, and I have, for example, the 7. So I'll pick the 7. I could actually, and then I just simply go through. I'm going to, as you can see as well, I like to put these little dots that tells me that this is a token that I've applied. I've applied the token to the squares, which is the styling. So I'll select another one. I'll go down to my purple again. My outline was 8, so I'll select my 8. My primary was 0, purple, and I'll select that 0, purple. My following one, so that would be my secondary. I'll select that, and I will then apply that to, that was a 10, and the next one was a 4. So I'd create that, I would select this, and I would pick my 4. And as you can see, this will actually take a reasonable amount of time because it's just simply linking them up and connecting them through. You just basically continue on with the next state, which will be my hover state. And my hover state has a 10 or 1. I will create, that would be my 5. And next one was 8. So I could probably go purple. I didn't just copy that. All right. So this would be my 8. This would be my 7. This would be my 6. My focus was 0, and the next one was 5. Oopsie. Create. And the next one is 7. Create. The next one is 6. Create. The next one was 5. And the final one, create answer, create our 6, create. That would be 8, 7, and 6. All right. So now that we have basically our whole primary set up like that, what happens is we now have this cool primary set, and if we really wanted to, this could be it. This could be where you want to be. Now, not where I would want to be. I want to grab this asset. Let's actually have a play. Let's actually align those up. The good thing is, because I have these selected colors, and they're all broken down into basically a simple kind of piece, I could simply just match them up. I could match up, for example, I know my outline, and I know that this outline is going to connect with, let's say, the actual outline color there. And I'll jump down to the bottom. I'm going to select this. This will be my fill. Undo. Let's go fill down the bottom, fill, and we will attach the next one. So this is my 4, which was my tertiary detailing. My 10 was my final one. Ideally, I wouldn't use these. This is why I like the kind of singular style. But it does showcase what we want. So the final one, 6, that would be primary detail. So as you can see now, what I've done is I've basically mapped out my detailing, and because I have really cool, clear naming conventions with also like this helpful little emoji, I can actually see that this is the mapping for my color style. And I can see that this is a primary, and I can see that's the outline color. I can see that's the fill color. I can see that's the tertiary, secondary, actual detailing. Yeah. And now I can actually just click on my asset. The great thing is, because I've used variables, I can actually click on this little piece right here. I can see that I have my primary, but I also have my color switch underneath. So I could actually just go make this the dark version. But there you go. Now I've set it up that I got this dark version. But I got this dark version that I could duplicate across here, and that I could actually have a look at this dark version. I could actually go to my layers, and now I can actually say, okay, what's the hover state? And now that I've selected I got dark, but I got the hover state for it, I can basically just switch through hover, selected state, focus state, so on. Now, I did just map them, and I haven't actually adjusted the mapping. But this is a great opportunity for you, because we've done these numbers. We could also go back to our colors inside our color state and actually adjust any of the mapping that we have over here that makes it more appropriate for the mapping that we want done on basically our dark or light mode. And this is how we could start to build out like our super advanced design actual color token set. Now I have dark and light mode just for my primary, but I have basically all the states set up. Let's take it one step further. What I can do is actually then throw them into what I have is my main. In my main, I have my primary set. So let's select my actual primary set in my main. I need my primary fill. I need to have my outline, my primary detail, and because I've named all of these, it makes it a lot easier to just match them, and that's the point. So now I have mapped this out. I also have that secondary detail. Now we haven't built that one and made that one as well, so we could easily put that one together. So let's go to our secondary detail, and let's go throw in the mapping for this one. This one's a little different. See down the bottom here, I'm using one of my blend layers for my first one. So let's say my fill there, blend, I can actually go create an alignment, and I can actually go to my blend. I can go to 10. I can create another alignment. Now I have my outline, that was the 2, so I can pick from that one as well. You'll notice that these are a little bit different, but this is also set to my dark mode, and my light mode would be this one. But because I've got this on a dark background, it's a lot easier to see this way. So we'll set that one. We need to set up our primary detail, so let's quickly have a look at what that one would be. Primary detail would be this one here, which would be the 7. So we will link that one up. Oh, that's an 8. We'll link it to a 7. We'll link this one up potentially, I believe, to a 6. That can be our 5. We have 7, 5, actually 7, 5, and 4. So we'll knock that one down. That won't be the 5. There we go. So that would be like the first part. That'd be for the main. And then of course you can simply map out, and you can use different colors. We can change this to a different colored set. So I could go instead, when you do hover over it, I actually want the fill to become the actual 0 purple, and I want the outline to be the 7 purple, and I want the detailing inside to cascade down, starting at, what do we get? Starting at 8, and then going probably 7 and 6. So we'll just start at 8. We'll make the next one 7, and we'll make the final one 6. And now what I'm doing is I have basically this main state, this hover state. They're two different. I'm using different colors throughout my actual color palette, and I'm able to do a lot more with it. So this is the cool thing about layering your design and layering all your colors. Now that I've layered these, I'm going to leave this for the time being, and we'll just move forward. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my secondary into my main actual color group. So we can create this. I can go down to that secondary, and I can put the secondary fill in there, and I can go down, back down to the secondary, and I can put the secondary outline, and so on. So I can go back in, primary detail for the secondary, tertiary detail, or secondary detail, and then tertiary detail. Because I've given them names, they're really handy, quite easy now, which is fantastic. Now, what I've done is I've basically added these two together. So in the scenario where we had just this single asset, and this asset could be like a dark mode, light mode, and that primary, I can actually change this around. But the cool thing is I can actually change it around even faster now, because now I've dragged this off. All I need to do is click on here. I'll just go to my diamond. I need to go to my main diamond. I'm going to go primary, main diamond. This will be my outline. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we need to attach the right details. So this is the primary detail, match that up, primary detail up with the primary detail here. Secondary detail, make sure we match the secondary detail with the secondary detail there. And so on. Tertiary detail, fill, outline. There we go. Nothing really seems to have changed. Basically exactly what should have happened. But the good thing is now we have more options. So as we go into the actual layer, we have basically the ability to switch this asset between the actual primary or secondary styling. Let's say now, there we go, secondary styling, done. Great thing is I can go into my secondary styling. I can go to secondary, the secondary subset. I can choose the hover state. And there we go, there's the hover state. And I can switch my dark or light mode on or off. Instead of creating all of these as components, now that they're color tokens, I already have the ability to apply this same styling to every single asset that I ever create going forward without actually creating all of those different variations and components. They're already there. I just simply apply the colors, right? This is not the only group. We did have our utility color set, which is here. And the only reason why I have both the utility color set separate from my main color set is just the limitation of modes that we have. If we could all afford and basically get the super expanded business version, you could basically add in and have up to 8 different modes. But because there are only 4 different modes, and any modes beyond that point you'll need basically to expand and update your plan, I'm not going to show that right now. It doesn't actually make much of a difference. The good thing is that you can group them together into a singular style. I got my utility one there. I'm not going to fill out my utility. It's the same layering, all the same. Once you fill them both out, it's jump into this final kind of combine them all into one. And as I have my styling, I duplicated all this, but I'm going to probably remove that one, and I'm going to remove that one. This will be my diamond. This will be this will be my main style, and this will be the utility style. So, utility. So now I have the main style, I have my utility style. I can go create an alignment. I'll go to main fill, create alignment, main outline, create an alignment, and we'll continue basically lining up all the details the way that they're meant to. And as you can see, the little emojis plus the naming convention helps out a million times, making it super duper easy to then combine all of your color styling all together. We will go into the utility one. Now I know the utility one is just all white, but that's okay. We can just attach them and link them up anyway, because once we have linked them up, when we eventually get around to filling them all out, they will all be working. There we go. Now I have my access to my utility set. I have access to my main set, and my main set has basically primary, secondary, tertiary, and alternative styling sets, and they're whatever sets you want to make them. And then we have those more utility sets, which basically are those when something is successful, you show it usually using like greens or something similar to green, or your caution and damage sets are using oranges, yellows, reds. They're basically those context specific sets. And the great thing is, once we apply that final layer to this asset, you will get basically the ability to have all of your color sets all applied to one asset, and you could switch between any of them. This is the kind of deep dive overview of advanced tokens inside of Figma, how to create them, how to layer them, how to link them up, and how to basically set yourself up so that you just have a couple of core colors and you use them basically throughout your entire designs, and you do no longer need to make hover states, selected states, and you don't need to create your primary, secondary, tertiary button stylings. You already have all of your color stylings created using variables. If you want to learn more about this color palette set, or you just want to understand variables or understand something else about Figma, please leave a comment in the description box below. But until next time, design thinkers, keep thinking, keep building, and keep creating amazing things. And I'll see you all in the next video.